Pro Football Hall of Famer Dan Fouts joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Dan, how are you today?
Oh, that's a loaded question, Rich.
I know.
The answer is not good, but you got to face reality in this world, and money talks, and everything else just walks, right?
Yeah, I guess that is the phrase that's safe for work on this front. I mean, how do you read this? How this could have been avoided, Dan? Best you can tell.
There's a million ways it could have been avoided. I mean, it's been an ongoing battle for 15 years, maybe even longer than that. I mean, they did remodel the stadium, added more seats quite a while back. But, I think both sides in any negotiation are at fault or deserve credit or whatever. But in this case, it's just a sad day because here you've got all these brilliant people that are trying to get something done. And basically it comes down to, show me the money. And the money wasn't there in San Diego. Apparently it is in Los Angeles. And that's where the Chargers decided to chase. So, the leadership in the San Diego government has been poor over the last decade. So it's been tough for the Chargers to get a grip there as to how to negotiate or who to negotiate with. But in the bottom line is the bottom line.
I mean, have you spoken to Dean Spanos about this in recent days to try and figure out how close this might have come to being avoided, or what his mindset on this was, Dan?
I've not talked to him recently. He knows how I feel. Obviously, I was very involved in the campaign to raise, voter awareness as to building the new Stadium Convention Center. Lent my voice to a video. Spoke at halftime to the Charger crowd. But the 66% voter approval, that's absolutely impossible, as you well know, Rich. And so it was an uphill battle at that point, and one that really, couldn't even get 50%. So it was a bad job of getting the vote out, of getting the positive vote out for San Diego Chargers.
Dan Fouts joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. I guess then let's stroll down memory lane here. What's your favorite memory of playing in that stadium, playing in San Diego, Dan?
Oh, there are too many. How long is your show, Rich?
Oh, it's 3 hours.
Yeah, okay. Well, then we'll start when I first met Don Coryell. And I remember the day was September 25th, 1978. We'd just lost the day before to the Packers in an embarrassing fashion in San Diego. And they fired Tommy Prothro and hired Don Coryell. And that was the beginning of, for me, the beginning of my career, basically, because he gave me an offense surrounded by great players that helped me succeed and helped me bring, along with my teammates, the Charger power that so many people will remember to this day.
And it's interestingly enough is, Dan, because we spoke with Peter King last week, you are going to be in the selection room in a couple of Saturdays in Houston, along with James Lofton, if I'm not mistaken, the first players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame to have a say in that room, correct? You're going to be there in a few Saturdays.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I approached David Baker, the president of the Hall of Fame, and I asked him about why the Hall of Famers themselves don't have a vote. And he explained to me that the Board of Trustees felt that, a lot of the retired players don't follow the game as closely, and gave me a couple other reasons that I really couldn't argue with. But I gave him one he couldn't argue with. I said there's, about 10 to 15, maybe even 20 former players that are in the Hall of Fame that are also members of the media. And when you look at the experience of a guy like James Lofton, who's not only a great Hall of Fame player, but a coach in the NFL, and the years of experience that he has had following the game in the media, in the radio and television work that he's done. And then you think about, Steve Young, and you think about all the other guys, Troy Aikmans. I mean, there's so many guys that are in the Hall that will follow the game every week, not just one team. And so he took that to the board, and the board agreed to let James and I sit in on the selection meeting last year as observers, and then this year the board approved it. So, yeah, James and I will be among the 48 selectors this year.
So when Coryell's name comes up, I imagine that's when you stand up too, right, Dan? that's going to happen.
I'll stand up for guys I believe that should be in the Hall of Fame. But the other thing, Rich, that I'm doing is I'm polling members of the Hall, and I told them this last summer when it was announced that I wanted the Hall of Famers to have a voice. So I'm polling all of the Hall of Famers that want to be involved and getting their input and their comments. So I'll come loaded for bear, if you will, in that meeting, not only with my own opinions, but with opinions of the Hall of Famers.
Wow, Dan Fouts joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show. Who do you think is going to win this weekend? Let's hit these games. Who do you think is going to be playing on Championship Sunday based on the wins and losses we see this weekend, Dan?
I'll take the easy one first, okay?
You sure?
New England's going to win this weekend. How's that for a bold prediction?
You're out on a very, very long limb there, but who do they play? Who do they play?
Who do they play? It doesn't matter.
No, and I'm just saying, so you think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, regardless of who comes out of Kansas City?
I do. I think that the way they're playing, the way they play at home, it was so important for them to secure that home field advantage with a win in the last game of the year against Miami, and they've showed the motivation led by Tom Brady, who had the stigma of the 4-game suspension. I mean, as if a guy like that needs more motivation to be successful, that really helped him get over the hump, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And so in the NFC, how do you see those NFC games playing out? Atlanta and Seattle, and then Dallas and Green Bay.
Yeah, I think the Atlanta and Seattle game is going to be very interesting because Atlanta is so hot right now, and yet they've had a bye. And I don't like byes. I just think it takes a little bit of the edge off a team. It's hard to get that back. It also gets them healthy. So there's pluses and minuses to the bye. Seattle, they've had some issues this year that we haven't seen in past playoff runs from them. So I think they're more vulnerable, especially playing on the road and against a hot quarterback and all that offense that the Falcons can throw at you. So I think Atlanta is the team there. And in the other game, Dallas and Green Bay, again, the bye kind of bothers me and worries me because of the youngsters, the two stars, Elliott and Prescott. How do the rookies handle that, and how do they get their edge back and all those things? But Cowboys are going to be extremely healthy, and the Packers are not. I just hope for the Cowboys, and that we do get another fantastic finish with another Hail Mary. What's interesting, Rich, is that if you remember back to the Seattle fiasco with Green Bay on the Hail Mary with the replacement referees,
yes,
and how they missed the call. How's Green Bay done since then with Hail Mary?
No, I know that they have gotten it back in spades. I mean, what do you think of when you see Aaron Rodgers throw? He has 4, if you want to include the one that he had on 4th and forever to get to midfield, so he could throw an actual Hail Mary into the end zone in the divisional playoffs last year in Arizona. When you see that and you see how often he does it, luck, skill, what do you think as a Hall of Fame QB, Dan?
It's a little bit of both, but what he does that's better than anybody that's ever done it is he throws the ball so high that his players are down under it, ready for the rebound or ready for the push-off or whatever they need to do to get to the ball. Each one of them's been a little bit different, but the common thing is how high he throws the ball, and that allows his players to really gather not only physically but mentally as to watching the ball come down, how to get to it. And remember, they're offensive players that have the better ball skills than the defenders, and the defenders are taught to knock it down, whereas the receivers, they're taught to catch it. So it's an interesting dynamic when you really break it down.
Last couple for you here. Dan Fouts, Hall of Famer here on the Rich Eisen Show. You know how John Madden says the busts famously talk to each other at night. Years and years from now, when folks stroll in and look at your bust, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and see the word San Diego Chargers underneath your bust on that ledge that they have there, and let's say a kid says, wow, why did the Chargers leave San Diego for Los Angeles? How would your bust respond, Dan?
Wow, that's heavy. Well, Jim Thorpe's bust says Canton Bulldogs. And where did they go? So maybe we'll go into the fantasy land of former football teams. I don't know, Rich. That's a tough one.
And then how would it respond if somebody asked, what was San Diego Charger football like? How about that one?
Unique. I don't think there'll ever be another team like the Eric Coryell teams for what they meant at the time and how they changed the game on both sides of the ball in the future.
Do you think that the team should go full Cleveland Browns and change the name completely? Leave Stats, start anew, Dan?
Well, all I know is that the San Diego Chargers are dead. And they'll, that's to me the feeling I have right now. I played 15 years there, and there's so many great memories, so many great teammates, the fans, the city. It was a wonderful experience, but it's no longer.
Thanks for sharing today, Dan. Really appreciate it. No, it's a tough day. I'll see you at the Super Bowl.
All right, Rich, good luck.
You bet. That's Hall of Famer Dan Fouts.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.